Hello, and welcome to Business Energy Trends 2022, Challenges and Opportunities for Your Small Business, hosted by Be Local Wisconsin, Cub Wisconsin, Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum, and the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. I would like to welcome you to this event. My name is Richard Storck. I am the Director of Outreach and Engagement at Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin, CUB. CUB is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that is managed by a staff of 5 with oversight from a volunteer board of directors. We are the independent voice of Wisconsin residential and small business ratepayers advocating for fair and reasonable utility rates before the PSC, the courts, and the legislature. CUB is excited to share that we now have a formal program for small business members, and today's webinar is the first in a series of our small business outreach and educational programming. CUB will host Clean Energy Transition. What does this mean for my small business on October 6th, and steps your business can take to manage your energy costs on October 13th. But first off, let's start with some housekeeping. This event is being recorded and will be shared with all attendees and posted on CUB's website, www.cubwi.org. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat and specifically to the host and panelists. Bear in mind that your questions will be viewable by all if you put them in the chat. If you have a specific question for a speaker, please feel free to direct chat it to them. If you'd like to use the closed captioning feature, there is a button on the bottom of your screen, CC Live Transcript. Be sure to turn that on to use the feature. We have placed everybody on mute. If you have any questions or comments, please place them in the chat. Today's discussion will unpack the regional and national energy trends facing Wisconsin businesses now. Our panel of speakers will highlight challenges and provide opportunities to help your small business better manage its energy loads. We will also highlight programs and resources your business can start using today. First up is Scott Coenen, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity here to just kind of kick things off, square the conversation up a little bit, and kind of give everybody a 30,000-foot view of what's happening, maybe in energy right now. Where we think Wisconsin is going forward a little bit, and then obviously maybe touch on just a little of how we think small business owners and folks across the state might be able to take advantage of some of these things. So I'll start off by just sharing my screen here for a second and get into this presentation. So as I said, I've been the executive director of Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum for about 5 years. Started the organization 5 years ago, and our goal is fairly simple. We put together a coalition of folks who are interested in kind of changing the discussion around new energy technologies, around clean energy in specific, kind of changing it to a more business-oriented discussion, right? Recognize that these technologies that we're going to talk about, for the next hour or so, whether it's solar, wind, energy storage systems, even some electrified transportation technologies, and a lot of other things in between, recognize that they're increasingly competitive, and they're being deployed and used across the country and across the world at a faster clip. So it's changing the way we generate electricity in Wisconsin, here in the United States. It's also changing the way we're going to use energy as we go forward. So our organization are fairly simple. We want to have a seat at the table for all of these discussions, right? We want to emphasize that, far too often, particularly in our politics, I think we get caught up in a 100% all or nothing discussion, right? We have to either use all of these technologies or we use none of them, right? And I don't think that's not the way to do this. I don't think it's particularly pragmatic, and it really doesn't emphasize where I think there's some really good middle ground to things. So our approach is fairly simple. Expand what we understand are the definitions of responsible resource development here in Wisconsin, with a focus on obviously technological innovation, and recognize that sustainability for folks is really a bottom line value. Whether you're a business owner, you're a resident in the state, doesn't particularly matter. Sustainability and new technologies, innovation can drive cost reduction, and that is particularly important in the world that we're going to see it holding right now. So as we go forward, I just want to spend 1 second. Everybody has kind of heard this in the news, right? Right now, we have cost pressures in energy everywhere, right? Everywhere, whether it's traditional fossil fuel energy, new energy technologies, we are struggling to meet demand across a broad swath of areas. Natural gas, this is a chart of natural gas prices around the world. Natural gas is 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 times more expensive than it was just a year ago. Oil prices are obviously much, much higher, and that reflects in our cost at the pump. I don't know if anybody is keeping track of diesel prices right now are particularly very, very high in the United States. Even coal prices, uranium prices, if you want to do nuclear, electricity generation, all of these inputs are increasing in price at a severity that we have never seen before. So as business owners, as folks who, probably are used to using a larger share of energy than your typical average resident, this represents a cost pressure that will probably be unprecedented going forward. Things that take energy, right, are going to be historically more expensive right now and in the next 6 months going forward. So I want to kind of touch on one of the first tools that we should always talk about here, efficiency, right? Efficiency should always come first for folks. And from a 30,000 foot view, we've largely in the last couple of decades really, really gotten good at efficiency with large energy industrial users in this country. We figured out how to swap out really big boilers. We figured out how to, do HVAC repairs, a lot of other things like that. But that's largely gone to the benefit of really, really large energy users. And it's sometimes left out residents and small business folks who haven't necessarily seen that windfall of efficiency yet. So that should be a focus for us in our conversations as we go forward. We figured out how to do efficiency for really, really big energy users. Now we need to figure out how to do efficiency projects for folks that are a little bit smaller down the scale. I'll focus on electricity generation for a little while. This will characterize the energy mix in the United States and here in Wisconsin. We're moving from a system that has largely been dominated for the last 50, 60, 70 years by coal to one that is becoming dominated by natural gas. So we're diversifying our energy resources, specific challenges to that move forward. One of the reasons that I think renewables will be a big winner going forward are obviously costs, particularly on the solar side. 10 years ago, solar was 90%, 100 times more expensive than it is now. So the panels that you had maybe had quoted or, we're looking at doing 5, 6, 7 ago, they're exponentially cheaper now, which helps return. I'm really sorry. I drop out on you guys.
We lost you for a little bit, Scott. Would you maybe be able to go back maybe a half minute and continue? I apologize for the technical difficulties. Maybe at this time, it would be best to move on to Thomas Content, the Executive Director of Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin, and maybe we can get back to Scott if he can clear up his internet connection. So Tom, are you ready to go? I believe you're muted at the moment.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yes, it's beautiful, Tom. We can see it.
All right. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to echo some of the points that Scott was making, and he'll probably circle back to some of the, and maybe reinforce some of my points. So a little bit about CUB first. So CUB was founded in 1979. We're a much older organization than Scott's, but in fact, Wisconsin was the first state in the country that actually created a residential 501c3 nonprofit to advocate for residential utility customers. And where, as well as farm and small business customers, where the decisions are made regarding our monopoly utilities. And the goal really is to level the playing field of influence where key decisions are made. At the Public Service Commission, the utilities can bring a litany of experts to try to convey their side of things, and we're there as the kind of the little guy trying to say, hey, not so fast. Have you dotted all your T's? Have you done the right analysis on all these projects that you're proposing? So we're there for the small business customers and the residential customers when utilities are proposing to build power plants or rate case, increasing rates through the rate case process at the Public Service Commission. And through that, we have concerns about our competitiveness of our electric rates, but we have been able to save customers $3.6 billion, so they would have been that much higher since 2006. And we do have two groups of membership, both residential and small business customers. So on commercial rates, one of the concerns we have is that Wisconsin rates have trended up over the years. Wisconsin used to be known for having some of the more competitive rates in the Midwest, and now or rank among the second highest among most Midwest states. And in particular, as this chart shows, 3 of our Wisconsin utilities rank in the top tier of electricity rates for small business customers. Now, a lot of small businesses are work from home. Folks who work from home, whether during the pandemic or even before and after the pandemic. That's a big trend. So residential electricity rates are relevant here too. And as you can see, the similar ranking shows that we have 2 utilities among the top 10, and actually 5 among the top 20 among 50 utilities across the states. And over the long-term trend, this is an example from We Energy's on the right. It shows that the inflation rate had gone up really 49%. But if you look at a typical electric bill over that same period of time through 2001, it's gone up at about almost twice that rate. And so we've got a lot of factors influencing prices. Scott mentioned some of these as well, but on natural gas, we had Winter Storm Uri last year, which froze the natural gas infrastructure for much in Texas, Oklahoma region, and actually caused major price spikes that that hit all the way up to the Midwest, including Western Wisconsin in particular, was hardest hit among the Wisconsin utility customer base with surcharges that ended up staying on bills through the winter. Plus, we had higher winter natural gas prices. A lot of that was driven by tensions in Europe, starting even last summer, well before we went into war. And now the concern is that about natural gas prices going forward, which are already up 23% year over year. The concern as Russia, as Germany and Italy and other countries that rely on Russian natural gas decide to cancel, if they proceed with plans to reduce their reliance on Russian natural gas, with United States as the leading exporter of natural gas may be asked to fill that void. And on the global marketplace of energy, the natural gas pricing is becoming more of a global price, and that means a higher impact for us here in the States. On the electricity side, we're also seeing a variety of cost pressures with several utilities on the left here. You can see that had rate increases that took effect in January. Part of that is due to the natural gas price and the impact of that to higher the prices increasing for the costs for their power, the fuel used in their power plants. But other impacts include the energy transition we're in as utilities move to shut down coal plants and replace them with solar and other technologies. Solar is the most cost-effective new technology out there right now, which is why utilities are moving so heavily to invest in it. But we have this transition period where we're trying to transition from coal, and we have concerns about continuing to pay for coal plants long after they're shut down. Some other ongoing factors that contribute to our higher than average Midwest rates include that we don't have strong integrated resource planning. Minnesota and other states actually require utilities to actually map out the plan and get it approved, not for the entire state, but for each utility, and that helps create a disincentive to overbuild the system. Overbuilding the system just increases rates for everybody. And plus, we've historically been too generous with the utilities on their profits that they receive. So that's another area of focus for CUB. And overall, there is heightened attention today on affordability more than there has been in the past, but we think there hasn't been enough historically, and we hope that the kind of the renaissance of attention that we're seeing on affordability really takes hold and results in change. Just in the last month, these are cases that we're going to be working on behalf of the small business and residential customers. This year, we're seeing electricity increases proposed for January 1, 2023, as you can see on the screen for We Energies, Wisconsin Public Service, and Madison Gas and Electric. I did mention this slightly that we're, as part of this clean energy transition, which the utilities are shifting away from coal as part of their sustainability goals. The challenge is that it's a steel for fuel strategy, replacing natural gas and other fossil fuels with new steel, which is a greener steel, if you will, of solar and renewable energy. But the impacts of that can be a little bit lumpy because we're paying upfront for the solar. We're enjoying the free fuel costs because we don't have to pay when the sun is shining, but we are still paying for coal plants long after they're shut down, and we're advocating against utilities continuing to profit from coal plants after they shut down. And that's an issue we've heightened in cases in the last few years, and including this year, and we've been able to achieve savings in prior cases and hope to do the same this year for you. And then here's some of the examples of the kinds of projects that are being replaced, or they're replacing the older generation. So turning to what it means for you and the tools that we can talk about, really the 30% is a number that really stuck out for me. I mean, because the average commercial building is wasting 30% of the energy it uses. So taking steps to reduce that energy use will deliver savings for you and help meet your customers' sustainability goals. So the first tool I wanted to highlight, and first few slides here on resources, would be the Focus on Energy program, which is our statewide energy efficiency and distributed renewable energy program. And you can see if you go into focusonenergy.com/business, you'll see the business assessment tool, and it covers a variety of different, I don't included a sampling, but there's actually a bigger variety, even wider sampling of different categories of businesses. And then once you log in, you get an assessment of everything from your lighting, your operations. An example on this on the right shows your HVAC, and then it comes up with some initial recommendations for you. Focus also has customized energy advisors, individual advisors that can meet with you. So whether it's through that /business or the Focus on Energy main number, that's going to be a good resource for you. And beyond just an assessment, the kind of the nuts and bolts and why so many people take advantage of the Focus program are the incentives. So there are incentives to switch out your lighting from LED if you haven't done that. And then incentives in the area of heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, and for small industrial companies, process systems as well. And custom systems are also, custom incentives are also available through Focus. So that's something that small businesses should may be able to take advantage of as well. Beyond efficiency, there's adding renewable energy is something that small businesses can be looking at to reduce their own energy, their monthly bills essentially. And there are tax credits obviously available for that from the federal tax code. But then beyond that, Focus on Energy actually has small business incentives that can give a business up to $50,000 for a solar PV system. Depends on the size of the system. And what we're showing here is a Cub small business member, Outpost Natural Foods, which has 4 locations in the Milwaukee area, has put solar on one of their stores with assistance from Focus. So switching from Focus to the utilities themselves, and it varies from utility to utility. Some of the utilities are offering enhanced energy efficiency incentives. The prime example there is Excel Energy in Western Wisconsin, where they will take whatever incentive that Focus adds, and they will layer on additional savings to bring down that upfront cost for making changes, important changes to reduce your energy use. And then the other general approach is trying to find ways to shift when you use and shift how you use energy. So Alliant and MG&E and Wisconsin Public Service all have variations on that. It's what Alliant and Alliant has the Smart Hours programs, which provides, it has been a residential program, but it's expanding to the small business sector to have your energy use managed when energy use, I should say, peaks, not speaks, in the summer, on hot summer days or cold winter days. And then MG&E has an on-demand savings program that is being expanded to the small business sector as well. And that provides customers with real-time pricing data and energy usage data to help them monitor their own energy use. Another MG&E program is actually something that Cub collaborated with MG&E to create. It's a small business discount. It was part of the rate settlement process last fall. They agreed to a discount tied to recovery from the pandemic and businesses that shops that were closing amidst the pandemic. So there was a discount for customers that reopen in a commercial space that already has an electric meter. So we were excited to negotiate that with MG&E on behalf of the small business community. And then Wisconsin Public Service has a small business response rewards program. It's one of those. It's similar to what you would think of as a time of use rate for a residential program, so that on the residential side, so that you save your and this is good for home-based businesses, save your key energy loads like washing dishes and clothes until the night time when energy prices are lower. And Energies and other utilities also have energy advisors if you contact them. And a couple other resources, and this is this wouldn't be for a home-based business or for a renter, but if a business owns your building. First of all, on the left, you see Energy Star Portfolio Manager. That's just a way to assess your energy and water consumption. It's an interactive tool made available through the EPA Energy Star program. And then beyond monitoring, if you want to save on the upfront cost of changes around for your business, the Commercial PACE program in Wisconsin is available, and that actually enables you to spread out the cost of a variety of upgrades for energy efficiency, renewable energy, even water conservation improvements. You can see a whole them all listed in the chart here, and those costs end up being spread out over time through an assessment on your municipal tax and services bill. It's one of the big barriers to doing these upgrades is the upfront cost for for a homeowner or a business. And so it's good to see programs like this, and we hope we can see more programs like this in the future for businesses and for residential customers. Appreciate let me know if put any questions in the chat, and we'll be sharing this information afterwards, so we can get all the hyperlinks to all the programs. And to stay up to date from Cub, we have an email newsletter. Connect with us on LinkedIn, and check out our new podcast, Cub Tracks, either on YouTube or your favorite podcast channel. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate it. Now we'd like to return to Scott Coenen, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum. Scott, would you be able to maybe do a quick recap for us and then proceed where you left off?
Yeah, so and I'm sorry about that, everybody. Apologies. Maybe we should talk a little bit about broadband and and reliable internet access in Wisconsin, actually. But no, we'll jump back in a little bit on this. So as I was kind of saying, and Tom reinforced a little bit too, so everybody throws around the word energy transition, right? We're transitioning into these new technologies. It's primarily for economic reasons, right? There is an opportunity for Wisconsin here, for our utilities, for us as residents and business owners, energy users, to achieve some degree of, I would say, savings here, right? Some degree of energy savings in a large scale, but we have to manage that transition correctly. So I'll jump right back into the presentation here for a second. To pick up a little bit where Tom had kind of left off, this is what Wisconsin's energy profile or mix looks like largely, right? So we are still a fairly coal, natural gas, heavily dominated in those old line industries, those old fossil fuel. We're still dominated by that technology. And I would say Wisconsin is fairly well behind almost all of our other Midwest neighbors when it comes to these numbers. However, as Tom was kind of saying, our future projects out in Wisconsin look decidedly different, right? There's a very, very large build out of utility scale solar. There's battery storage coming. There's wind. You can see even there are some small gas projects still that might pop up in the future as well. But largely going forward, not all of these will be built, but a lot of these projects, renewable projects, will be built. To give the audience some degree of an idea on this, if even some of this gets built in the next 5 years, you're looking at Wisconsin moving from roughly 2% of our energy generation in renewables to maybe 20 to 25% plus, right? It's a really, really significant change for the state of Wisconsin. And this is what that looks like going forward too for all of our different counties. These are all the solar, wind, and battery projects that we're tracking across the state. And this is just at a utility scale level, so those really, really large projects. Our utilities have all been fairly upfront, and they've been very, very public about their intentions to reduce, their carbon emissions, their CO2 emissions, to be more environmentally conscious on this stuff. However, as Tom kind of hit on, we have a challenge here. This will be a cost pressure for Wisconsin if we have to pay for old infrastructure while we are also paying for that build up of new infrastructure. So I think folks need to be aware and conscious of this as it's happening, and demand some solutions. There are solutions out there to smooth this transition out, and I think Cub can be a unique voice in the state for that. I will say also for a lot of small business folks, there's larger pressures here as well. There are environmental sustainability goals. There's really, really large supply chain pressure. These are all some of the big Fortune 500 large companies that all have environmental goals. They all have goals, and increasingly some of these really, really large companies and these corporations are applying those goals in a much stricter fashion to their supply chains, right? So I think small business owners and business owners across the state need to be aware that somebody may come calling on them eventually and say, all right, if 30% of our energy use or generation in our supply chain doesn't come from renewable sources, we're going to shop around and find a new source for it, right? That's happening a lot across the state, and it's something that we need to be aware of, and you need to plan for, I think, going forward a little bit more. So let's talk a little bit about just some of the tools that we see, because renewable energy for me isn't just about the big stuff. It's not about, the advantage to building really, really large wind turbines or really, really large, solar farms. I'm really, really excited that these can be tools for individuals, whether at the business level, the commercial level, even the residential level. This technology, the really cool thing, particularly about energy storage and solar panels, you can put 1 million panels in a farm field somewhere, but you can also put one panel on a storage shed, right? And that generates electricity. So it scales up and scales all the way down to that individual level. We should be able in the state of Wisconsin to take advantage of a much more decentralized energy source and much more decentralized energy technology. I would encourage everybody on this call to think of these new technologies as kind of building blocks. They're almost like Legos, right? They come in different forms, different shapes, different sizes. There's a lot of variables to them. They come in different colors, right? And you can kind of plug them in and plug them out of your business operation, right? So I think the first thing is, as Tom kind of touched on in his presentation, know your energy profile and use, right? I think everybody's there to some degree now, especially given the cost pressures happening, but you have to know your energy and your energy profile and know your energy use before you can do something about it. Obviously, the second building block here is energy efficiency, but then you go to solar, storage, electrified transportation in some way. All of these different things can either work individually or work together to lower our energy burden. And the good thing about this is that there are competitive, consumer-oriented choices and consumer markets that are emerging in all of these technologies. So you can get on the phone and call people who will compete for your business to give you one of these building blocks going forward. That is going to be an extremely, extremely powerful thing for businesses in this state and across the country. And it's something that I don't think we can ignore in the state of Wisconsin any longer. I'll just use this as an example real quick. Drown Corporation up in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, they are a kind of a fertilizer, greenhouse equipment manufacturer, supplier. They've been in business in Wisconsin for 75 years. A small business. They just put in this pictured here, this solar, this small solar array. They're located in Manitowoc in the industrial park in Manitowoc, 286 solar panels installed on site. It will cover roughly about 90% of their on-site energy use. Arch Electric was the helper on this one, was a contractor on this project. Think about how incredible that opportunity is, not just for Drown Corporation specifically to offset some of their electricity usage, their electricity and utility costs, but also think about the opportunity for some of the other businesses in that industrial park as well. I think if you're in a community, any given community across the state of Wisconsin, your largest energy use is always those industrial parks, right? Industrial parks and maybe some of the facility and infrastructure management that you have, like water treatment facilities and things like that. The opportunity here for a privately installed solar system that plugs directly into the heaviest demand in the community and supplies electricity directly to that heaviest demand could be really, really huge, not just for individual corporations and individual businesses, but this could be a huge cost savings for ratepayers writ large across the state. There's infrastructure that we might not have to build because a system like this exists in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, in their industrial park. So with that, I would encourage everybody, when we're talking about these new technologies, be realistic, recognize the challenges that are involved here. But there are solutions that I think we all need to work for at a statewide basis, but also at an individual level. So a lot of these things are disruptive technologies and we should treat them as such. There's opportunity, but there's also challenge to this stuff. And with that, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to taking some questions from everyone.
Thank you, Scott. Next up is Jessy Servi Ortiz, Managing Director of the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. Welcome, Jessy.
Hello, thank you. Welcome. Such great information from Tom and Scott. Thank you. Let me share my screen for you. All right, there we go. We should be set. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about a tool that we have for small businesses to use. As mentioned, my name is Jessy Servi Ortiz. I'm the managing director of the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. We are a membership organization, and our mission is to advance sustainable principles and practices forward through the power of business. And we really do this by helping educate our members and business owners. We help them measure and improve their business outcomes through sustainability, and we really facilitate connection with businesses, business owners, sustainability practitioners to learn and collaborate and grow together. So we are owned and operated by WMEP Manufacturing Solutions. And today I'm really going to talk about one of the tools that we have, which is called our Green Masters program. And so this is an action manager tool that's available to our members to help you, as I mentioned, measure and improve your sustainability outcomes. It's a third-party, uncertified certification program that can sort of validate that you're taking actions across the 9 categories in the program. So it is a tool for businesses to also get recognized for the great actions that they're taking in their business. And you get to use the logo in your own sort of promotional materials. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how it helps you improve, and specifically on the energy side of things in just a moment. So the action areas that we manage through the program are sort of the traditional environmental metrics. So that includes energy and greenhouse gases, in addition to water, transportation, supply chain, and waste. And then also we have workforce governance and community. So it is sort of taking an ESG, or environmental, social, and governance sort of holistic perspective on your business. And there are 3 levels to the program. It is a points-based program. And so the actions are all measured based on the impact of the action and sort of the difficulty the action is to take in your business. So just, generally we have around 100, 110 participants annually in the program, and the average score is around 512. So coming in at that professional level. I did mention it's a benchmarking tool. So this is just a snapshot to show you sort of how you look or compare to other businesses in your sector in these categories. And so here you can see energy for this company, they sort of are trending a little above average. So how does this help small businesses? Well, the top 3 reasons we see folks really using this program as a tool is it helps you develop systems for tracking and improving your sustainability outcomes. I'm going to show you what those are in just a moment. It's also a planning tool to help give you ideas of what you can do in each of those sections, particularly in the energy section. It asks you questions like, have you taken these energy efficiency metrics? And it gives you a long list of things that you can look through to sort of check and see, oh, this makes sense for our business. Let's look at replacing LED lights, or let's look at, an HVAC system upgrade, or, a building envelope sort of improvement on efficiency. So it does also act as an idea generator for you to get ideas on things that you can do to improve your energy actions in your business. And then here are some other ones. It just helps expand your knowledge and experience. It can also help to, increase engagement inside of your business, talking through these things with different employees or groups inside your organization. And it gives you a tool to kind of help share your sustainability story. So I mentioned it helps develop systems. So really, this is really where our sort of core competency is in helping businesses. We really help them integrate sustainability into their existing business systems. And so through the program, that's what we're helping you do. And so sort of the series of actions that allows you to do that is, of course, first by measuring, right? You need to know what your energy usage is, what that mix is before you can improve it. So you can use that data to look at your trends. How does the seasons affect you? How do these rate changes sort of affect you? And then from there, you can look at, how can you maybe normalize that information to a unit that makes sense for your business. For a small business, sometimes that's just based on your square footage, right? So, you might grow your office space or your employee base, and your energy, how does that look or shift based on your normalized metric? And then you use that data as a baseline so that when you make improvements or you make investments towards improvements, you can understand what reduction you're having inside of your business. You can also use that then to set goals, saying, you want to become X amount more efficient, or you want to reduce your overall, energy use or spend. You can use it to set goals that make sense for your company. Then, if you have that baseline, you can share and track your goals and your progress. Today, often transparency is important in the world of sustainability, and businesses sort of being willing to share that with key stakeholders, maybe key customers that are asking, even your employees, to engage them in being a part of the solution for you. And then, creating a strategy and where you want to go in the future, as well as reviewing your goals and your metrics on a consistent basis with your staff and your employees. So those are sort of some of the basic actions you can take to develop those systems inside your business for tracking and improving, specifically in this case around energy. So I mentioned our program was points-based. We do have top 20% of our program are considered Green Masters programs every year. So I just want to highlight here that there are at least 5 businesses on this list that have, let's see, 4 of them have under 9 employees. One of them has 25 or less. So you don't always have to be a big business to be energy efficient or be taking actions in sustainability and be recognized for achievements. So I'm going to share just one of our Green Master Program company stories. This is Balance Milwaukee. You saw them on the list of top participants in our program. They've been a part of the program since 2015 and really used the tool to get ideas about how they can consistently improve. They use it to sort of share their commitment to sustainability. And what their business profile is they're in the entertainment industry. And so they have a cafe in their business, and they have and operate sort of bounce houses and kind of play areas of entertainment. And so what they chose to do is install solar panels on their roof. And through the installation of their solar project, they have been able to, operate almost 100% without electricity bills, especially in the summer months. I think they have to supplement some in the winter, but they also have electric vehicles as their fleet. And so they make pizza. So they have, energy efficiency ovens that are run by the solar panels, and then they charge their electric vehicles with the solar panels, and they get to claim that they have solar powered pizza emissions free delivered to you. So they are in fact delivering their pizza with zero emissions through this process. So just kind of a fun case study example to show, they're definitely a company that's like I said, they have 24 employees, so they're small, but they're making important investments around sustainability and particularly in energy. So I also just wanted to mention that we have a mentorship program. A lot of times when you're getting started out in these areas, it can be overwhelming and sort of daunting. And so we do help pair small businesses with other small businesses to help give you ideas and share what's worked for other small businesses. So there's lots of other ways we help businesses around sustainability. So if you're interested in either membership or just, talking through how we can help in any way, shape, or form, you can reach out to us. Our website is wisconsinsustainability.com, and my email is just Jessy@wisconsinsustainability.com. And I do just have to mention that we are having our 15th annual conference this year at Lambeau on November 16th. So that's a great opportunity to come learn from other small businesses and just businesses in Wisconsin around all of these sustainability improvement areas, including energy. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jessy. Next up is Lisa Geason-Bauer, President of Evolution Marketing and Chair of Be Local Wisconsin. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everyone. Tom's going to bring up the PowerPoint slide, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today. So my name is Lisa Geason-Bauer, and I am excited to share with you today information on a relatively new tool that's on the market for small businesses. A little background before I dig in. I'm the president of Evolution Marketing. We're a sustainability consultancy and environmental marketing communications firm, and we're also a certified B Corporation. We were actually the 7th in the state of Wisconsin back in 2018. Today, there are over 5,000 certified B corporations around the world, and we have 18 in the state of Wisconsin. For those of you who are not familiar with certified B corporations, we are businesses that meet the highest standards of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability to balance profit and purpose. B Corps are accelerating a global shift, cultural shift, to redefine success in business and build a more inclusive and sustainable economy. Society's most challenging problems cannot be solved by government and nonprofits alone. The B Corp community works towards reducing inequality, lower levels of poverty, and a healthier environment, stronger communities, and the creation of more high-quality jobs with dignity and purpose by harnessing, it's okay, Tom, you can stop right there, that's perfect. By harnessing the power of B Corp, of business, B Corps use profit and growth as a means to a greater end, positive impact for their employees, communities, and the environment. As the owner of a certified B Corporation, I'm actively involved with our Be Local Wisconsin, and I'm currently our chair. Be Locals are place-based communities of people using business as a force for good. At the core of Be Local Wisconsin are for-profit certified B corporations that are using the power of business to create a shared and durable prosperity for all. Our Be Local is led by a team of volunteers. Today, it's my pleasure to share with you the SDG Action Manager tool. So let me give you a little bit of background on this. And when I say SDG, I mean Sustainable Development Goals. So why this tool was created, that Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG Action Manager, was created due to a global need for business to be able to track their actions across a company in an interconnected way that could be measured. This is also an excellent planning tool for smaller businesses. The tool was created back in 2019 as a joint partnership between B Lab Global, the nonprofit organization that certifies B corporations, and the United Nations Global Compact, the business arm of the UN. Together, these two entities use the same platform that B Corps use to be certified. That platform is called the B Impact Assessment, and they added another layer to the B Impact Assessment. And in that layer, they highlight the different sustainable development goals. So for those of you who are not familiar with the SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals, they are a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and improve the lives and prospects of everyone everywhere. The 17 goals were adopted by the United Nations member states in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which has set out a 15-year plan to achieve these goals. Not only do the Sustainable Development Goals identify where we should be at in 2030 to create the sustainable world we seek, but they also provide a unique chance for all sectors to rally around a common global agenda, one that unites all of us, so businesses, governments, and NGOs, to take responsibility to improve people's lives and save our planet. So there are 17 goals that are made up of 169 targets. What this tool does is that it helps businesses to map their actions on the goals to specific targets so that they're better able to measure. And if you're able to measure something from a data standpoint, you're better able then to manage it. This is important as the 17 SDGs are interconnected and interdependent. Therefore, having a tool that can help you to see those interconnections, let me tell you, is priceless as a business owner, especially if you don't have a sustainability department in your office. Next slide, please. The SDG Action Manager is a free, Tom, next slide. The SDG Action Manager is a free tool. Like the B Impact Assessment, it is free. It's been conceived as a public good. B Labs and the United Nations do not plan on ever auditing this tool. So instead, they want this to be used as an internal impact management tool for a business. And it was publicly launched in the end of January 2020. And if you choose to put your information in and then you want to be audited, that's when you would then apply to become a B Corp. One other thing that you should know is Evolution Marketing. We were a pilot participant. As the program was created, we beta tested it. So I can talk about this from the experience of being a business owner, and this tool was very useful to me. The next slide, please. So when we look at the tool itself, it's based on with a baseline of the UN's Global Compact 10 principles. So these 10 principles serve as a foundation for all of the modules, and it further demonstrates the interconnected nature of this tool. So you can see what the tool looks like on the left-hand side, and then on the right is the listing of the UN Global Compact's 10 principles. The baseline plus module approach has been designed to optimize engagement and improvement among businesses, while also acknowledging important interconnections and principles within the SDGs. The combination of the two, a comprehensive baseline approach and an in-depth assessment on specific sustainable development goals, creates a balanced structure that can be very useful for small businesses. And so as you can see on the image, on the left-hand side, you see SDG 1, which is end poverty. That's what they mean by an individual topic. So today, next slide, please, we are going to talk about specifically SDG number 7, which is affordable and clean energy. Going back to why this tool is great, I really believe, now 18,000 businesses around the world have used it, but I truly believe this tool is great for small businesses, especially businesses that don't have an in-house sustainability team, because there's a lot of information out there, and this helps you find your starting point. So you can understand where you want to begin, and then you can look at what is material for your business by using this tool. You can also set goals and track improvement. You can collaborate across your company if it's a large company. To me, it's just a great tool in general. So we're going to dig in now to SDG number 7. Next slide, please. So here is this is the outline from the UN. So within goal 7, there are 7 targets. And all of these targets, they're to be met by 2030. I'm not going to read them all for you, but the overall arching are tied into ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. So the first one is target 7.1, ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. I won't go through all of these, but these questions then are translated now in the next slide to business. And how does that look for businesses then? So here is the backside of the SDG Action Manager, and here are some of the questions tied in there. And what I think is so unique about this tool is that it's really based on, it helps us as business owners to think about things from an external standpoint, and it's also based on systems thinking. So it challenges businesses to unpack the rationale behind why you do what you do. And I think this is great. I have a little line there pointing to business model. One of the questions in this tool asks you questions about your business model. And it's important because I think sometimes we do what we do because it's worked, and we don't second guess it or we don't revisit it unless we have a continuous improvement plan in place in our organization. And I know many small businesses don't have that. So having this ability to be able, yes, it is free, Erin. SDG Action Manager is a free tool online. Thank you for that question. So as a small business, we're able to use this tool then to help us to think about ways we can do continuous improvement within our organization. Next slide, please. Here are a series of questions. So each of these you would open up and there's questions listed underneath them. These are kind of the topic areas. And what I really like about this is this helps you to start to think about things you may not have thought about already. Like, for example, low impact renewable energy use. What does that mean? How is that different from just renewable energy use? Next slide, please. And so if you say, I'm not sure what that means, what's really cool about this is, see where a little circle is? There's a learn more button inside of each question. And if you click the learn more button, there's free resources and information that can help you to make better decisions and answer any questions you may have. Okay, and then the last slide. These are links to the tool that exists out there. There's a really nice video online. And if you have any questions about the tool or about Be Local Wisconsin, please feel free to reach out to me, lisa@evolutionmarketing.biz. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. To wrap up today, we want to make sure that you're aware that there are 3 tools available to small business owners. Focus on Energy, the Green Masters Program, and the SDG Action Manager tool. And I actually would like to ask each panelist, if you would please answer this. What can a small business owner do today to address their energy burden? And Scott, may we start with you?
Absolutely. So I think the number one thing that we all I think it's the elephant in the room here. We can take a look at our energy profile. You can get all that together, but we're almost always going to run into resistance from the system in Wisconsin somehow, right? So I would say small business owners, talk to your local leaders, community leaders, and also your legislators that you want options here, and you want to utilize these tools. That's going to be extremely important in the next 5 years in Wisconsin.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Tom, same question for you.
Sure thing. Well, I think the biggest thing is, as we kind of emphasized today, is just to get a baseline of what your energy use is. And so for a home-based business, there's the thing called kilowatt. You may not be able to see very well, but which is a detector. You can actually get it from. You can check it out at a local libraries. Even carry them sometimes. You can check how much energy your devices are using, and then it always comes back to LED bulbs. LED bulbs are already creating savings, but they're not as widely deployed as they even could be. So if you need to start somewhere, start there. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Jessy?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned so many great resources today. I would say call Focus on Energy and have them come out and do an energy audit. They do them for free. Residential, doesn't matter if your business is in your home, you can go through the residential program or a commercial building. Just have them come out and take a look around. They do offer like free LED bulbs for residential customers. They'll do that audit. They'll make some recommendations, but really start there and start by paying attention to what your energy use is. And then, as Scott talked about, efficiency is the place to start. So look at where you can get some efficiency gains.
Great, thank you. And Lisa?
All right, so now everyone's taken mine. Jessy, you talked too much, you gave too many options. But I really think that we're so lucky in Wisconsin because we have the Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council. I'm a member, and we have great resources through WSBC. We now have a Be Local Wisconsin. We do programming as well. We have the Citizens Utility Board, and we also have the Conservative Energy Forum. So I think there's a lot of options for folks who want to learn more about what they can do to reach out to these organizations because they're all here to help us really address our energy burdens as well as all of these other amazing resources we've talked about today.
Great. Thanks so much, Lisa. And I'd like everybody to know that links to the presentations along with the recording will be sent out in the next week following the event. Thank you for joining us today. And I would like to thank our partner organizations for sharing their insight. Please feel free to reach out to any of our speakers as they are all happy to answer questions. And please mark your calendars for CUB's next webinar, Clean Energy Transition. What does this mean for my small business on October 6th from noon to 1? And we'll also be doing steps your business can take to manage your energy costs on October 13th, also from noon to 1. Thank you for being with us this afternoon and have a great rest of your day.